Hey everybody, welcome back to DoubleD Vintage Baseball Cards. My name is Dylan and I am so excited to talk about the hobby and show you guys some baseball cards, show you guys some DoubleD slabbed baseball cards. I'm excited to show you guys some vintage baseball cards. I'm excited to talk about the National. I'm excited to talk about buybacks. I'm excited to talk about so many things that revolve around the life of a collector. I've been having an absolute magical time since I've been on YouTube for so many reasons. And I want to talk about those reasons. And how I'm going to talk about those reasons is I'm going to share collections that I've made, not just because of YouTube, but because of the friends I've made on YouTube and the way they collect. And I'm not influenced by them. Maybe I'm influenced, whatever. They're kind of mean the same. But I'm inspired by these guys. The cards I collect, I don't buy certain cards. I mean, I will buy certain cards that I collect and I also think are going to go up in value. I mean, I combo the situation or at least hold their value. I don't want to buy a card that goes to nothing. But with that said, there's so much more that goes into certain purchases. And 90% of what goes into it is, does it fit in my collection? Does it tick that heart box? Does it make the heart skip a beat on my collecting heart? Like, you know what I mean? If you're a collector, does it do it for you? Does this card right here, the 1991 Topps Jim Abbott Desert Shield, my first ever Desert Shield. I am so freaking thrilled. This was like $35, I think it was. And I did do the blacklight test on this, even though PSA graded it. Shout out to Brian, High Pop Collector, I think his name is. Dude, tonight I'm going to be sharing cards that I picked up because they mean something to me. I was inspired to collect them this way. So many reasons, and I'm going to talk about so many collectors out in the hobby, so many of my friends, and that's what I love about how my collection has formed and where it's headed. And I don't know if you guys watched the Turn Back the Clock. We had Josh on from Wax Packs. I mean, dude, it was so much fun, and I'm giving these two cards away if you donated to Signatures for Soldiers. I think that's what it's called. And I am giving these beautiful Tiffany cards away because these represent a huge part of my life. And I thought it would I thought a fun way to give some cards away. Man, I have been just having an absolute blast not escaping from regular life, but going, I love regular life. I love everything about it. We go through things and hard times, and this helps those hard times out tremendously. And sometimes you feel guilty for having so much pleasure looking at your cards during a time of crisis, but I have to let my mind be okay with that and to be able to escape for a little bit. And some of these cards take me back to my childhood of just pure joy. When you're a child, minus times at school, where I was bullied and like that, but in an overall experience of my childhood, it was pure joy. And that's what these cards represent. So I'm going to show collections. So let's just dive in. First collection I'm going to share. Oh my gosh. Take this Jim Abbott down. Well, actually, first thing I want to mention is these two insane. Actually, I'll share a card with them. When I share collections side by side, they're going to be going in Drew's channel. He used to be, I think he's a Vintage Legacy. Drew, a Vintage Legacy, or Drew, a Vintage Legacy. He used to be the Drew. He sent me these insane slab baseball card holders. And boy, have I been using them, playing with them on my desk. You guys have seen me in some posts. Having a good time with them. Now, if you are interested in these, go to his channel. He's selling these he's a really impressive woodworker. And he's selling these to buy some cards at the National. So I'm excited for him. I, unfortunately, have a huge giant stack of wooden slabs that I've made, and I literally just said, I give up. My wife's so sick of all of them, so I'm going to be getting rid of all of those other ones, which I already had planned. I just don't have the heart to throw them away, so I'm not sure what to do with them, and I was going to give them away, but then Drew started making these epic ones. I'm like, well, I'm not going to give them away at the National. That would be like mean, as my buddy Drew's making these sick ones. Here I am giving away my old rubbish slabs. I bought these because I can share the cards all the exact same every time. Now, my wife doesn't want a million. She loves these new plastic ones because they're just like tiny. They fit in a little corner. She's like, throw those other ones away. She can't wait for it. So, Drew, I'm not going to be buying more, but I am honored and touched, and they mean the world to me. These two I have, I treasure them. But if you haven't, you have room and you want to buy 10 of these, I highly recommend it. They're awesome. So, all right, let's just go right in. We'll go first to vintage. My thoughts of the National. What am I going to be buying? I'm so excited about it. I've been looking through my collection, just going, oh, what am I going to get? Oh my gosh. Watching a whole bunch of videos. I watched Alan's collection. I think that's what his name is on here. I watched one video of his, I probably watched it like 20 times since I've been on YouTube. I always rewatch it. He has this tabletop. If I remember to tag it, I will. Alan's Cards. Gosh, man, I forgot. His name's Alan. He's doing videos for a while. Man, iconic cards all over this countertop. And to me, I love iconic cards. So, here we go. I got a little adult beverage. And I can do this like this, which is pretty cool. So first card, I picked this up at the National last year. 1951 Bowman Campanella in a 2.5 in the $100 to $120 range. Freaking magical. When you're in the flesh, you can really pick great low grade examples of cards you want. I've always wanted this. Just love this card. Now, I did pick up some cards at the National that are completely not I would not pick them up today. And I'm just like, dude, why did I even buy that? It was just, the eye appeal wasn't there. But I had like $300 at the end of the show, and I was like, dude, I gotta spend it. I flew like 3 days to get here. But let me show you guys a card that's going in between those two. And I'm gonna get another Grail at the National if it all goes according to plan. This card right here, I on an everyday basis, any day of the week, I could look at this card on my wall. Let me see if I can get the focus right. There we go. Let me back a little bit. That glare right there is killing me. I got a new setup going. There's some kind of glare on it. Dude, I think this card, it screams to me like, dude, you have that card. I can't believe you have that 1952 Bowman Mickey Mantle in your collection. How did you get this? That's my brain telling me. My child brain and my brain that's still in there, the same one I had as a child, is going, holy smokes, Dylan, how did you do that? You know how I did it? I took a whole bunch of cards to the National last year. Insane. I took a pile of graded cards, probably 50. And I was selling them, walking around to dealers. And this one dealer, Man, I went to every dealer and asked if they would trade or buy. In this, I did two insane trades, but one was at a hotel room, which I in a hotel lobby, which I just got a picture from Rick Vintage Oddball. He had a picture, and I was like, dude, that was a trade for this Williams and Koufax. Well, this trade right here, I didn't even know the people that were around me. I realized I knew Adam Vintage Sanctuary was, but Dom talked about this trade I made for this 1952 Bowman. I had a pile of cards. I traded like 15 low dollar cards. I had two decent big cards in there, but all off-centered, all old grades. I will say old grades because they were old grades where I thought they were overgraded. There are a couple new ones that I had graded, but they're all off-centered, all smaller cards. I was like when I was a kid again, and I traded my buddy like $1 cards for his $15 Roger Clemens 1985 Topps card. Like, those were the trades. Like, that's what I did to the National last year, and I got this baby. And it was right after my buddy Adam Vintage Sanctuary picked up the Joe D rookie card from 1938 Gowdy Heads Up, which just, I was like, oh my gosh. I felt sick because I already spent $1,000 on a Duke, a Duke Onimoku, which I already spent before I even got there, which I don't regret that, like, in all time. But I don't have unlimited funds. And then I spent another $850 or $800 on a Satchel Paige 1953. You know, I didn't have a list going. I had no list in my head going to the National last year. And this year, same thing. I just had iconic cards that pop out. And I was like, when Adam bought that Joe D, I was like, oh my gosh, I could have purchased that. But I didn't have enough money left over after it was like a day and a half in. But then I made that magical trade right after, and it just lifted my like collecting spirit like through the moon. And ever since, like, all right, cards just find you in the right moment. And when I miss cards or I don't buy a certain one, I go, well, another one's going to pop up. They're not impossible to find, especially the card that I love. Look at this Ted Williams. There we go. An absolute stunner. A stunner of a baseball card. I don't care what grade you want to give this thing. Oh, a 0 to a 10. It's incredible. Incredible baseball card. And that's what you got right there on the back. The front, no. Hold on, let me focus this. A thing of beauty. A beautiful thing of beauty. Now, I'm talking about the National right now. I brought Campy's card out because these are the cards I want to pick up this year. I brought Mantle out because I want a Mantle. Man, I love collecting Mickey Mantle. I just read that report I did when I was a kid. A baseball card report in 1993. I was 13 years old. And Mickey Mantle was the report. I actually thought before I found it, it was about Cal Ripken Jr. But no, Mickey Mantle, man, he's been a part of my life my whole life. And not because of my dad, not because of my parents, just because I love baseball cards and was in the shops and I was looking at the magazines. Mickey Mantle was the man. And then my mom got me all those black and whites I talk about. Whew. So this year, I'm looking for cards like these. And I realize now they're all 2.5s. It's a magical grade, I guess. I mean, every grade is a magical grade when the card inside that grade looks magical. Doesn't matter if it's a 7, 9, 10, 2, 1. If the card looks good, the card looks good. And that's what I want. And that's what I'm hunting for at the National. So I don't have rules. I don't have restrictions. I do want a Grail card. And I have some in my mind of certain players. I want a Babe Ruth. And I want a 4-1. That would be an absolute... It would be right behind the Joe D and the Mickey Mantle, or on the exact playing field of those three cards. Those three cards to me would just don't make sense. So if I have that 4-in-1, which nobody wants, I would love to pick it up. And I know Brian B. Roth had a couple, and I reached out to him, but I didn't go on Facebook to find them, and I don't want to buy any big cards that I'm not, even if I see a good card on eBay, a big card, I'm not buying it right now. Even if I miss my opportunity, I am flying across the world. I want to find the card in the flesh and have a story to tell. Because that Mantle really tells a story. And that Campy, I remember the table, the time, who I was with. That Campy, I was with Snoop, and I was telling him, dude, don't look at the number, man. Just buy the card. And I was like, I knew that was there, so we V-lined. I go, dude, I got to take you this one table. I scooped that thing up so fast. All right, next up, show some more baseball cards. Drew, I'm going to take these. No. Yeah, I'm going to take these away because I'm showing a mumbo jumbo collection. I got to just show it like this so everything's equal. I've been slabbing cards up. And as I've been slabbing, what I've been doing, what I have done since I started grading cards, since I got the loop. I was grading cards way before these slabs came into existence. I was doing this for years and years and years and years. But I never used a loop until my buddy Orlando, shout out to Orlando, a collector's dream, said, hey, you know, this loop is epic, sent me the link. And since then, and since these Zion slabs came out, but over the last year and a half, every card that enters my collection gets looped. I literally spend probably 2 minutes on each card. And when you include probably more than that when you include all the information like I have here. In 1988, Topps Tiffany, Dwight Gooden. In 88, Dwight Gooden stats, 3.19 ERA, 175 strikeouts, 18-9 win-loss record, 3.5 WAR. This thing almost gemmed out. A Beckett Gem Mint, 9.5 Mint Plus centering 100. And yes, I use the loop and I measure centering through the scope. I'm insane. I know it, but I love it. I want my collection to have value on a sense of money, because ever since I was a kid, ever since I first started collecting, maybe not when I was pulling the Goonies cards out of the machine, probably then too, but as soon as I got my hands on a Beckett, no more than 7 years old, okay? At least by 1987. No, let's go 1988. 87, I was still rubber banding cards for a long time, but putting them in a cigar box. But let's just say I'm a Beckett man, and I learned a lot about finances through baseball cards. That's why I love money and cards and teaching kids about cards. I love baseball cards because it teaches you so much. Kids these days, they don't have, just like kids back in the past, we don't have millions of dollars to spend on cards. We're not buying $100 cards unless you're a rich kid. And there was rich kids back when I was a kid too, I'm sure. I didn't live around them, but there were. Probably buying all the Jose Cansecos they could possibly buy. Maybe they were buying Mickey Mantles back then. But same thing goes on today. 99% of the kids are buying Topps packs, a blaster at the store. $30 then is the same thing as when we were buying packs for 35 cents. When you include inflation and everything, these packs are cheap still. Cards are cheap. You don't need to spend a lot of money. And these cards I'm buying, these Tiffany cards from Comp C, I'm picking them out with my own eyeballs, were like $1 each. This one almost gemmed. This Darryl Strawberry 1988 Topps Tiffany got a 9, centering 86. In 88, look at his stats. He batted .269, 39 home runs, 29 stolen bases, 5.4 WAR. I have fallen in love with 1988 Topps. And I'm not going to say again because I never loved 88 Topps. In fact, I thought it was like the ugliest set ever made when I was a kid. gosh, I was like, it went from 87 to 88. It was like, dude, you can just look at my collection and realize, like, you'll see boxes, 3,087 tops, from my childhood, and you'll see 1,088s. It's hilarious, but it's true. Like, that's when back then I was buying out of the dollar bin, buying vintage cards from the dollar bin because these cards I thought were ugly. But no one until YouTube shared, display these cards together. How good do these two cards look together? Let me focus this. That's what I just love. Cards doing flips. I love about what YouTube. No, I just hate saying YouTube because YouTube did nothing. YouTube just, made it possible, I guess, for us to communicate with each other. But friends in the hobby, how they're sharing their collections and how it just goes nuts. So let me just share a few more. Daryl Strawberry, 1987 Topps Tiffany. This thing got a 9, 100 centering, which is really, really tough to get. I mean, dude, I don't have a machine that does centering, but I do pick up my scope and look at every freaking edge and corner, and I measure the centering. Like, it's no joke. I have a good time doing it. Call me nuts. I don't care. And there is a difference between a 9 and a 10 when you have a magnifying glass or a loop. Otherwise, there is no difference. But everyone says there's no difference. No, there is a difference between a 9 and a 10. If you take your time and you go over the surface, you go over the image, you go over the edges, you go over the corners, you go over the centering. There is a difference. It is minute and is impossible to see to the naked eye if you pick a centered card from any decade and you go like a 7 and up. It's impossible to tell the difference between a perfect 7 all the way up to a 10 centered. Impossible without magnification on almost any card if the 7 is dead centered. There is exceptions because there are, you get dots on 7s and stuff, but you get the point. Like, let's buy these cards for $1. Let's grade them ourselves. This one gemmed. I love that word. This one gemmed. Never heard that until YouTube. This one gemmed out. It's got a 1098 in centering. 1987 Topps Tiffany All-Star Dwight Gooden. 87. What did this guy do in 87? Let's just look at the flip because you can put anything you want on these things. 3.21 ERA, 148 strikeouts, 15-7 win-loss, 3.7 WAR. Dwight Gooden. Ooh, baby. I mean, look at this. This, to me, this cost so far, grand total, with the plastic. I buy a lot, so I get a discount. With the plastic, about $10.50 so far. Literally, that's what it cost me, $10.50. Oh, maybe another 50 cents because the ink, okay? So let's just round it out to $12 for all these Tiffany's graded in slabs with, I know, a legit grade that PSA would give it. I mean, they could go even higher and they could go lower, but they will level off. And I am strict as all can be these days. I'm just like PSA. I'm getting stricter and stricter. Like, that's just how it's going to be. How incredible are these all-star sets from 1988? Dwight Gooden here. To me, they're like, they're the cast pajamas. I mean, they are. I look at this one and then I'm going to share one. I look at these All-Stars now like I look at the 1958 All-Stars and the 1960 MVPs. I look at them in a different light because I know it sounds silly, but these are Tiffany's. There's not an unlimited amount, and they're still incredibly cheap. And for me as a me, like I'm like I see value. I see a beautiful baseball card. Yes, more beautiful than the regular tops. They have this like luster to them. They have this shine. And that goes into the grading. And like a card like this, you got to look at the surface. There's surface issues with some cards. I'm learning about so much, like in grading these like more modern stuff. Like it is insane. Now here we go. Look at this one. 89 Darryl Strawberry All-Star. This one takes the cake for me. This one even beats 88 All-Star. 89 All-Stars. That design is spectacular. This one, what do we got here? Yeah, I'm going to tell the grade. It's an 8. Centering, 85. Look at that strawberry. Ooh, man, look at that. Look at those. All those cards lined up. Like, that's what I'm talking about right there. Shout out to everyone in the hobby, in this card community, because we all display cards like this. Like we think about our collections deeply, and like the way we're going to display them. I can't wait to have a row of all these cards on my wall, and I got room for them. Hey, it ain't over. We got another 89 Doc Gooden, Dwight Gooden, Topps Tiffany, 8.5, centering 98, 1.5 war. Look at how smiley and happy he is. Sorry about the focus, guys. There we go. There we go. Back in gear. Oh my gosh, seriously? It's too fun. Too fun. Last one I'm going to share in this run. I told myself do not buy sideways cards, not because I don't love them, because I love them, but because I don't have as much room to display them. And I want to display my cards. But I also wanted an example of one design from every year, and this one just went with my run that I created on ComC and just went after it. It's probably like 65 cents, $1. 1989 Topps Tiffany, Darryl Strawberry, the Mets leaders. You can see the words on the back. I mean, look at how sharp these cards are. I zoomed in when I was on ComC and looked at every corner. It's not great. It's not as good as like you're looking now if you're looking on a big screen. But you can pick out when it's centered and it looks nice. This one you can't even tell centering. I didn't even give this a centering grade, because I didn't know where to start measuring. I was like, dude, what am I going to measure from? The ghost border. So I just this is the mushroom border, the cloud border. I always thought it was like a cloud. Look at that collection. Beautiful. All right, taking it down because I just got more to share, you guys. More thoughts, more things on my mind. This next collection is hands down my absolute favorite mini ultra modern collection I've ever created. Not like I created a lot, but this collection in total, they're all in my slabs, cost $150. So whether you think that's outrageous or you think that is reasonable, I mean, $100 doesn't go very far this day and age. You know, money's not worth a lot. It costs $25 for me to eat over here, any meal. $150. I got the sickest collection. It wasn't easy to find. It took 5 months when I said, yeah, I'm gonna get that collection. And away we go. We're starting with the 2022 Topps Chrome. This is the Sapphire Edition. Aaron Judge, card number 99. More importantly, this is the season that he hit 62 home runs. And I have the information of, these are really expensive boxes. Like, I don't know the price of the box, but Probably $500. I will never open boxes again. Like, I've opened one blaster box in the last year and a half. And that was at Heritage this year. Oh, I take that back. I bought a box at the National last year. So 2 boxes. Cheap boxes. These Sapphire Golds are numbered to 50. I don't care if they've printed 1 million cards. This card is spectacular and still hard to find at a decent price. I bought this ungraded. I slabbed it up myself. This has to do with his home run record and his almost Triple Crown season. This thing this thing gemmed out on Beckett scale, 9.5, centering 93. Gosh, one of the sickest. I have fallen in love with the sapphire. The shine on these are spectacular. Put that one right in the center, right here, because you guys are going to see something so cool brought out in history right here on this show. And that is how close Aaron Judge got to the Triple Crown. First, we're going to show his home run record card right here with Mike Trout Sapphire. This is a 2023, and this is the Leaders card. I love combo cards. You guys know that. This might have 3 future Hall of Famers on this Leaders card. This might be like one of those magical Leaders cards one day. Maybe not. But this is one Judge hit his 62 home runs. And he's got my buddy Mike Trout on there. Like, how much cooler can you get? One right there, first place, home run leaders. Put that right there next to him. Next one. Zoom you guys down here. Give you guys a little better view. You know what you're going to see. It's just going to get magical from here on out. Another one I slabbed up, 2023 Sapphire Edition. Aaron Judge in the middle. This is none other than, let's read it together because it's hard for me to see in this. It doesn't say, is this the RBI leaders? It probably hits leaders. Oh, average leaders. Yes, should have guessed. Average leaders. Luis Arias. Of course. I mean, how can you beat him? But look, he almost did. Almost a Triple Crown. 0.005 or 006 away from a Triple Crown. This card's numbered out of 50 on the front. I don't care if they made 850 million refractors. Look, they made 850 million base cards back in the day. And then they made Tiffany's, and then they made random other stuff in the 90s. One day, no, today, this card has a value to it. And it's not $100. It's not even $50. This is probably like $20. Yes, I skip lunch one day and I buy this card. Ain't that big of a deal. A blaster. I'm not losing my shorts collecting what I love. I'm collecting what I love because I love collecting what I love. And I think there is value there. I think in the future, having a collection of Aaron Judge, all gold sapphires of his run of almost a Triple Crown, holds a place in history of baseball cards and in sports. And this is the RBIs. Aaron Judge in the front, leading so close to a Triple Crown. And what is this one? 9.5, 100 centering, numbered 33 out of 50. Instead of buying a box and breaking it open and blowing whatever it costs, $500, buy the card you like out of the set. And gold, man, gold's forever. Gold's forever in gold, and gold's forever in cards. Because that's what Topps started with. Look at that, 131. So sick. Let's look at this. Just take a a moment to look at this collection in all its glory. Move the light around. Give this a little light luster. I mean, dude, give me a break. Put the light up a little bit. Is that not sick or what? I am so freaking stoked to have completed this. Not only to have done it in this way, for me, knowing that none of these were in a graded slab and I got to do it myself randomly, I would have bought these in graded form all day long. Didn't find one that was reasonable. $150 for the whole collection. Add in this cost of the slabs. Let's go $160 with the labels. And I got the sickest collection ever. Dude, oh, Aaron Judge. Especially since he's just crushing it. I've been on an Aaron Judge kick for the last, maybe 2 years or so. Year and 3/4. Year and a half. Anywhere in that zone. Loving his gold. Just going nuts. Let me show you guys a card that I picked up that I had no idea. I had no idea it was this big. Bringing back Drew's slab because it's perfect for this one. Dude, I'm like, man, I need an elite. I mean, I need it. I have one other elite. And I had no idea this card was a mega big. I guess I should have looked at the description a little closer. This is a 1993 Donruss Elite Supers Barry Bonds. I mean, it's super big. We'll compare it. I mean, I had no idea. It was like $25. Shows up. And I love it. It's awesome. And I have some room to store bigger cards. So this is fine. But yes, I want a normal one that was pulled from a pack. I don't know where these came from. I have not done the research, but I will. Someone in the comments, please tell me. I love the card, though. I think it's so cool. It is big. I'm not going to collect any more of the supers. But you know what? Skip lunch one day. Or, go big and spend $25, $30. You got yourself a Donruss Elite Super. A Barry Bonds. Like, it's so cool. Oh, man, I love it. All right, I'm going to share with you guys one last collection and why I love these types of cards. My buddy John Mangini, and Mike, they were talking about buybacks, and they didn't understand the whole concept of the stamp. Now, I'm going to put my 2 cents in on the stamp, and then I'm going to share some buybacks that have no stamps that I have and why I actually love the stamp. And here we go. And they're vintage. And they're 1933 Gaudies. First and foremost, buybacks to me. Man, when I found out in 2007 that there were buybacks, man, I didn't know there were buybacks till 2007. If there were before, I had no idea. When I found out there were buybacks in 2007, dude, me and my buddy Danny were buying 2007 Upper Deck Gaudi cards. We were like, dude, we can pull an actual 1933 Babe Ruth card out of the pack, repacked. This is one of the cards. This is the other card that we pulled, and I have 2 others. That's how many. They were 1 per case. I think they were 1 per case. So we didn't buy tons of cases, but we were buying lots of boxes, and we did pretty good. This card right here, Elwood Woody English. Honestly, I have never even looked up who he is. I can get all the grief in the world from Mangini and Rick if they're watching this. I don't care. The point of me loving this baseball card is that me and my buddy Danny pulled this in a pack. And all the other ones, like this Jim Elliott, we get Jim Elliott. We thought this was the Babe Ruth one. We slow rolled this out of the pack. We slow rolled it this way. We thought it was a Babe Ruth 144. We were losing it. And then we got Jim Ellioted. Freaking Jim Ellioted. Oh my gosh, never live that down. But this one, we're like, dude, we got to keep one in a pack. Like, still how they came. You open the pack up, and this was inside. There's a little seal on there. You can't see on the screen. Maybe you can. A little circle tape seal. That's it. And a congratulations card. The only way you know that this was entered in a pack back in 1933, someone pulled it, and then somehow Topps purchased the card back, or in this case, Upper Deck, purchased the card back and re-entered it in packs so we can pull the card. In 2007, we could pull a 1933 Gaudy card. When we pulled these cards, there's like 4 of them we pulled. It was like a heart stopper. Everything we were doing, look at it, Danny, get over here. I got one. We would slow roll the thing. We didn't have cameras or YouTube back then. We were doing this as a pleasure of just baseball cards. And when we pulled, it was like our hearts jumped through our chest. You got to remember, we're like 23 in like the prime. He's an engineer. He's a railroad engineer. He drives trains. And he had a great job, and I had a great job back then too. So we were spending money, like real money, and opening packs. Not for videos, not for nothing, just for us. Like, we were having so much fun. And we pulled these,